Nearly all the skills that you'll need to get ahead in Valorant can be sharpened before you even play the game. Valorant is an experience that combines elements from many other shooters to create something that puts a new twist on familiar ideas. Fortunately, by playing the games it's inspired by, you can get ahead of the curve and sharpen your skills before you're even recruited as an agent of Valorant. Counter-Strike Global Offensive is the game that Valorant has the most similarities with, from the bomb planting and defusing format and round-by-round weapon economy to spray patterns and recoil control. So it makes sense that CSGO would be the perfect training ground. And since it's free to play these days, you've got no excuse not to use it as a virtual stepping stone to Valorant's success. The first thing I'll touch on is how you navigate the maps. As the movement that both CSGO and Valorant have use some classic mobility options that those that haven't checked out CS may not be familiar with. The absence of a sprint key will be immediately noticeable to many players out there, with the speed of your locomotion limited by whatever gun you're holding. The heavier the gun, the slower the run. And in the wise words of FPS Doug, you run faster with a knife.
You wanna go for a jog, man?
While it may be unfamiliar to some, the movement fits the style of the game perfectly, as each move must be considered, whether you're approaching a bomb site silently with the use of your walk key and covering your angles, or rushing in an attempt to get an entry frag and lock the location down. How you navigate the map is drilled into you quickly while playing Counter-Strike, and will be a valuable transferable skill when you come to play Valorant. As you go from your spawn to your bomb site, you need to keep in mind what angles you're approaching from or defending. Most of this is going to come with experience and map knowledge, but games like CSGO or Rainbow Six Siege can teach you about holding angles or safely navigating avenues of fire. For example, if you're on the defending side, you obviously need to know where the attackers are coming from, but also the most advantageous angles, as well as develop the patience of holding that angle so you can prevent their approach. Similarly, when it comes to attacking, a little experience on how to enter a site goes a long way. Approaching from cover and slowly peeking around an angle with your crosshair trained on possible enemy locations as you check inch by inch until you get a frag or can move up safely is a technique known as slicing the pie. And considering you can die ever so quickly in these games, it's imperative to give yourself every advantage. But while it's all well and good learning how to get around the map or approach an objective, it's not going to be much good if you don't know how to hold your own against the enemy team. Shooting in both CS and Valorant is also quite different to games that you may already be experienced with. The first thing to keep in mind is that you should not be shooting and moving. Movement adds an extreme penalty to your accuracy in both these games, to the point that running towards an objective with the left mouse button held down is about as useful as a chocolate teapot. If you're using a default crosshair, then you'll see it change and expand when you're suffering a movement penalty. In both Counter-Strike and Valorant, the first shot you fire from a rifle is nearly always dead on accurate if you are stationary, so your best bet when it comes to winning one-on-one engagements is to stop, crouch, aim, and fire. Keeping all this in mind takes some practice though. Obviously, another huge factor is how hot your aim is, how fast you can get your crosshair onto a target, and your recoil control is going to be a huge help too. And there are tons of training environments to download for CSGO via the Steam Marketplace that allow you to practice recoil, tap shooting, headshots, and target acquisition. These are the perfect places for you to learn how to control each weapon and their recoil. When you fire your weapons full auto, you'll notice there is quite a significant climb to them after the first couple of shots, more so than most FPS games out there. To really make the most of these weapons, you're going to have to learn how to bring those rounds back on target. Using these training arenas can give you a visualization of where your bullets are going. But after toying around with them in both Counter-Strike and Valorant for a little while, I noticed that some of the main weapons have extremely similar spray patterns, so learning in one game should help in huge ways when it comes to hop to the next. Just so you can see for yourself, here are the recoil patterns side by side for CSGO's AK-47 and Valorant's equivalent weapon, the Vandal, and again for the M4A1S and the Phantom Suppressed Rifle. Now, are they exactly the same? No. Are they similar enough that learning how to control a weapon in Counter-Strike will help you in Valorant? Absolutely. The difference with Valorant is that aiming down sights with a weapon will reduce the spread you experience at the cost of rate of fire. Although personally, I found it much easier to stick to the classic way of aiming. The one thing that's fairly unique to Valorant when it comes to combat, however, is the way abilities play into engagements. And while Counter-Strike or Rainbow Six aren't going to allow you to practice with special agent talents, there are some fundamentals that can still be learned. For example, learning how smokes can help obscure a line of sight when attacking or prevent a push when you're defending will serve you well once you finally get your hands on some of the Valorant agent abilities. Learning how to use a flashbang in CSGO or Rainbow Six will also make you feel more comfortable when it comes to using Phoenix's curveballs. But what's available to you during each round of combat depends on your economy. This may be the element of the game that's most alien to players new to this style of FPS, but it plays an enormous part of the dynamic. The money you have available to buy your weapons and abilities at the start of each round will depend on your performance both at a team level and an individual level. There may be moments where you have to buy a weapon for a broke teammate, or if you're on a losing streak, do what's called an eco round.
This isn't a fight, it's stealing lunch money.
Valorant features a UI to help teams coordinate together when it comes to working around their economy, but a few hours of CSGO will also drive home how important this element of the game is, and how you can take advantage of it. Sure, you may have gotten all those kills last round and now have a wallet brimming with cash, but these games are very much a team effort, so share the wealth a little and be sure you're picking up the fancy expensive stuff dropped by other players at the end of each skirmish. This will no doubt help you save a few more bucks for a rainy day. And finally, remember, intel is the most valuable thing of all in these games. Whether we're talking about Valorant, Rainbow Six Siege, or Counter-Strike, don't be afraid to communicate with your team and keep everyone informed.
Behind you. Yeah.
Getting the first kill of the game can change the dynamic and create an opening that you need to tell your squad about. Spotting a bomb, or spike as it's known in Valorant, while defending a site likely means they're approaching with the objective to plant, so tell your team you've found the device so you can secure it. Or even something as simple as letting your comrades know that a certain player favours a sniping position may allow them to be better informed and obstruct their vision. But these and many lessons more are best learned by playing, and jumping into CSGO or Siege will certainly help you prepare for the combat to come. Many times I've spoken to some of the top performing allied agents I've been matched with, and I've asked, have you played this game much? The common response is, no, but I've played a lot of Counter-Strike over the years. So if you want to get a little more hands-on learning before you get access to the game, these are the titles will allow you to get your action-packed studying on before you play Valorant. If you think this might be of help to you or your teammates, be sure to like the video, share it among your squad, and if you're hungry for more Valorant, then you can check out our impressions piece by clicking that spot in the top right. But to keep looped in for future Valorant content, then make sure you subscribe to GameSpot.